apparently someone came to him with their father or something like that yang dah 3 months plus macam tak ada will to live, tak nak makan, tak nak apa. So lama tu macam tengok je muka dia, tengok. Ada baca-baca sikit, ada tanya-tanya sikit, and then he read something and he touched the head, like slapped the head, and the guy died on the spot. Mati terus. Yeah. So apparently dia dah mati lama dah.
Right.
But that thing is keeping him alive, right? Sustaining him, which explains why dia tak nak makan, dia tak nak bercakap, because it's not him. Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of
Naik Bulu Tales. And I'm Moe.
I'm Fairil.
I can't see you, bro. Where are you?
Who keeps putting all this smoke here?
This
Too much smoke.
This is the mist, you know? Stephen King's The Mist. Something's in this.
Yeah, oh my God. Well, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, dude. Another week. I'm excited for this kind of episode. I love the guests. But,
yeah.
you know, before we continue, why don't we give the audience a little recap about what this show is about?
Sure. Before we recap, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. Anyway, we started Naik Bulu Tales back in the heydays of the pandemic, where it was just IG Live.
That's right.
And me and Mo shared and read people's stories on IG Live, and people listened. And now we are here because we were inspired by that show back in the
Tales
80s.
from the Crypt. So during pandemic, people were scared to go out, so we scared them to stay inside.
Yeah, so we wanted to. And some of them were pretty freaked out.
They're like, why are we doing this? We can't even leave the house.
So no, you watch, you watch, and you
bastards.
listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today we have another guest with us through our
DP.
DP.
Yeah, friend of M's.
Friend. And let's get him to tell us a little bit more about himself. Who do we have today, Mo?
We got Fad.
What's up, guys? My name is Fad. Thanks for the intro. I wasn't expecting that little musical bit at the start. Kind of caught me off guard.
Gotta get you into the mood. You know
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Okay. So my name is Fadli, but y'all can call me Fad. Everybody does. I'm 34 years old. I work in digital marketing. It's a pretty boring industry.
Hey, pays the bills.
Pays the bills. Yeah. Married. I got a kid. Life's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Congrats.
How old's your kid?
Just turned 1 last month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Fresh.
Yeah. Terrible twos around the corner.
Yeah.
Some have it, some don't. So maybe you're lucky.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming here, man. Thanks for taking the opportunity and time to share us with your stories.
Sure, of course.
You got a not similar, but I heard we have another potential story today. I don't know.
Apparently we have another book story. Is that your story? That was your story? Or do you have a couple?
I got a couple of stories lined up for you guys.
Are you a big believer in the supernatural, or are you kind of like a like a 50-50 kind of guy?
That's an awesome question.
Yeah.
So I started out as fully non-believer.
Oh,
I mean, like pretty far on the spectrum. Several events have happened in the last around 15 odd years or so that have challenged my convictions on the subject.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll tell you guys a little bit about some of those events. Some people have a gift, right? They can see, they can feel, they can hear things that others can't, and some people don't, right? I remember the guy tried to use a really a layman analogy when he was explaining to me. He was like, well, you know how some routers can pick up some signals in some kind, and I was like, yeah, okay, so that was the way it was described to me. So I'll preface the whole conversation by saying that I fall into the non-feeling, non-seeing, non-gifted category. Although I've been reminded a few times that it's actually, the gift is actually to not see. All right, they said
interesting perspective.
That's what they told me. Like, it's actually the blessing is if you can't feel it, you can't see it, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
That's actually the more desirable state. So whenever I tell you guys tonight, it's from that perspective. However, I've had kind of like a front row seat to certain events that happen in front of me. None of them actually involve me seeing a ghost in the traditional format that you'd imagine, like a pocong or a pontianak or anything like that. It doesn't. I can tell you right now, I've never actually seen it.
Sure.
But I'll give you guys a little bit of a feel of the experience when I share some of the stories and what I saw, even though I didn't see any pontianak or any spirit in the traditional sense. I know like some people, they can see flying heads and floating heads, and maybe they hear macam menyilai kind of thing, right? So I personally haven't felt that, but the things that I saw and were happening around me really challenged my beliefs in that. Maybe there's a little something here that maybe I'm just too much of a cynic before this, but maybe there's a little something here that at least warrants a little bit of discussion.
Yeah, we love discussing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. The floor is yours, bro.
Okay, cool. So I have like 2 or 3 stories. So I'll start with like the first one. My first introduction to the supernatural, right? So I'm a city boy my whole life. I mean, I lived a little bit in Gombak for a few years. Not exactly city, but not exactly kampung either. Then my family moved to PJ, and then I lived abroad for a few years. So I've always been a city guy. When I was in college, where this story starts, back in 2008, I was 18. I was shipped off to this college in Pahang, in Kuantan. It was about 20 minutes from the city. Tapi memang kampung lah. As in like the surrounding. I haven't been back in like over a decade, but I'm sure dia dah maju a bit lah. But back then, I mean, we're talking like you go out of the dorm, you go out of your dorm to take your morning shower, and then there'll be beruk-beruk ke atas bumbung. Monkeys will be in the toilet. They'll shit in front of the toilet, that kind of thing. So it was that kind of place. And then if you were lucky or unlucky, how you want to look at it, you could also see some babi hutan, moving around the area. So it was a pretty undeveloped place, kampung place, kampung-ish area.
Very underdeveloped. Yeah.
So there was a lot of. They said like ada macam keras sikit lah at that place, right? Meaning there's some supernatural presence there. So the very first encounter I had was when I was in my first semester. We were asked to do an assignment for one of the modules. I can't recall what it was, but basically the assignment was we had to kind of shoot a documentary style piece. So one of my friends from another class, they wanted to do kind of like a supernatural documentary, but mock lah, as in like they it wasn't like they were calling spirits or going ghost hunting or anything. It was all acting. So there was one scene that they wanted to shoot that they couldn't shoot in the day. It was the scene where they wanted one of the team members to perform Silat punya bunga, I think that's what it's called. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I may get the terms wrong, right? So it's kind of like when you go to Malay weddings, sometimes they have a little bit of a silat punya persembahan, kind of performance. So as far as I knew up till that point in time, silat is a martial art form. There wasn't really, or I wasn't aware that there were levels. A lot more layers and levels to it, right? It's a very deep kind of ilmu lah, as we say.
It's actually like a Silat cult.
Yes.
Which I found out years ago as well.
Yeah. So when we wanted to do the shoot, they asked for my help. They were like, hey, so back then in college we didn't have cameras, so we did the next best thing, which was use a laptop webcam. Right? So we can pegang laptop. So they needed someone to hold a laptop, right? So the scene was my friend, he was just supposed to perform like a 2-minute or 3-minute bunga lah, and then We would shoot it, and then that was that. But whilst he was doing it, so I didn't realize that there was a whole ritual to it. So there's a specific music that you have to play, right? I think it's a form, and again, I might get it wrong. Don't slaughter me in the comments, but it's kind of like a gamelan, kind of like a tung, tung.
Right.
Yeah, kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies lah if you dengar from out of nowhere, right? So okay, so they played it, right? And then he started the opening movements lah. I was thinking, okay, seems pretty cool. He was doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then okay, he started moving, and then the legs started coming out. So I said, okay, this looks pretty interesting. It's pretty much what I know Silat to be. I mean, I've seen this kind of thing before. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this was what really shocked me, because I've never seen this happen before. So one of my friends was standing behind him. He was another kind of like an extra in that scene, right? So my buddy, he turns around and notices the guy behind him, and he immediately throws this back kick into my friend. No holds bar. I mean, we all know each other. We all stay in the same rooms. We all eat together, smoke together. I mean, it's college, right? Yeah, so this was completely, shocking behavior.
Out of character.
Yeah, out of character. And then he kicked him. The kid flew across the room. He was a small guy, right? He flew across the room, and then from the very graceful movements that I saw, suddenly it was something else. He was fixated on that guy, and he went
after him.
Yeah, he went after him. Basically, he went after him, right? So I didn't know what the hell was happening. I thought, okay, maybe this is part of, maybe they planned it. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So another guy came in and he was like, hey, G. Let's call him G lah, right? The Silat guy, right? So G, this kenapa ni? But he didn't answer, and he went after the new guy. Oh. So that's when I realized that, okay, I think something's wrong here. All right. And then another guy who was holding another laptop webcam, he shouted at me. He was like, Fat, tolong pegang je. So I just did what I was told lah. So I grabbed him. He punched and kicked me a few times, but I was a little bigger, so I just tried to bear hug him. And then two other guys bear hugged him, got him on the floor. And then one of our friends who was, he's also familiar with this kind of thing. So dia ada baca macam a few ayat directly into the ear of G ni. And then you could see his breathing. It was like kind of like exorcising what was inside him. He was like, like that kind of exhaling though. Yeah. And then after a while he stopped. And then he fell to the floor, like macam rebah lah, like he didn't break his fall, you know what I mean, like macam pengsan lah, like that. So then we revived him, and he was like, "Hey, what happened? And we told him what happened, and then he went quiet for a while, and then he's like, "Dah lama tak jadi macam ni."
Oh, damn.
So motherfucker, you knew, right? You knew that this kind of thing can happen. Yeah, but you didn't tell us, right?
Yeah.
So that was my first taste of it. As in like, oh, actually someone can be possessed. All right. So a few months later, so this is one incident, but throughout college, several more happened, and as they happened, I got more macam berani sikit lah, macam okay lah, let's see what's going on.
When you say it happened to the same guy?
No, to the different people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had exposure to different people, which is why I felt like, okay, so it's not a one isolated incident. There's something more here that I tak tahu lah, I tak faham. So this is where I learned more about saka, right? About people having saka, and datuk nenek diorang hantar daripada, say, the northern part of Malaysia, tolong jaga and things like that. So another two incidents that I remember clearly, like they seared into my memory, was one was another girl. It was a Saturday. I remember because we didn't have class that day, so we had some assignments. We were at the academic block doing our work, and then I remember she was in the next room, and I heard screaming. and it was almost a very similar kind of sequence of events. So we came in, she was screaming, but one thing I remember is that, so they asked me, because I'm a big guy, so they asked me to help pegang dia lah. But I remember it was a lot more difficult to pin her down than what her size would suggest. So later on they would explain to me lah, oh Fad, kudrat diorang ni lain. It's like, you know, it's like kita 10, dia punya kudrat 1. That's what I remember them telling me. Like, it's basically the strength of 10 men lah when they are possessed. And I remember when she was on the floor, she was screaming, tapi dia punya scream tu bukan macam perempuan punya high pitch scream. There was a little touch of masculine energy in the way her voice changed tau, macam garau. So I'm not saying that she immediately became like Terry Crews, you know, like really super gruff, super deep bassy voice. Tapi it's a difference lah. You know you know this is not normal, right? And as it so happens, ada ustaz tengah lalu. So he saw what happened. He came in, and then he immediately assigned all of us different assignments. So macam dia cakap, Fadli, kamu pergi dekat penjuru tu, kamu pergi azan. So my azan was not that great.
But you had to do what you had to do.
I summoned whatever yang I can remember from my sekolah agama days, right? So I thankfully it was accurate lah. So dia suruh I duduk, you duduk kat corner tu, Fadli, awak azan paling kuat yang awak boleh azan. Okay, I azan lah, right? And then he asked the other boys to hold her down, and then he was reading something. I don't think it didn't sound like macam ayat Quran. I could be wrong, I can't recall. But then one part that I remember quite vividly is that he took his thumb and then he slammed it into her chest, right at this area. Which in another situation might seem a bit wrong, but in that situation that was what he had to do lah. So when he did that, she screamed even harder, as though she was in pain from that touch, just that touch sahaja, right? And then he held her head. I remember they were holding her arms like that. Dia tengah tunduk, dia pegang her head with his hand, and then he read another verse, and then he shouted, "Ukhruj adu Allah, ukhruj adu Allah." I remember he shouted that very sternly though. So later on I would ask him, I'm curious, man, what does that mean, right? So he said, ukhruj is keluar, get out. Adu Allah is enemy of God. So macam get.
From what language?
I believe it's Arabic, but again, y'all can correct me lah if I'm wrong, right? So you're saying get out, enemy of Allah. So that also kind of showed me like macam, oh, so they are considered an enemy of God, right? They're not
Syaitan.
Macam syaitan lah, right? So that was another incident that really like macam, and throughout all this I cannot see anything. Bear in mind, I'm not seeing any spirit coming or going, or I will say the air felt a little hot. Yang tu I boleh cakap, okay, yang tu I can remember. Memang macam panas sikit dalam bilik tu, but I don't know whether that was the adrenaline or you know, maybe it was just a hot day, I don't know, but I felt that lah. So there were several other incidents interspersed, but the last one that I remember, yang I memang ingat, betul-betul ingat, is because this kid, this was my final year lah. So by this point I dah deal with about 7 different isolated hysteria incidents. Some boys dekat dorm, some girls, right? So at this point benda tu dah bukan macam overwhelming for me lah, but still something that, for me, my perspective is I'm kind of like a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to deal or cure or what is the steps, but I can hold them down, right? boleh tolong macam tu lah.
Minion.
Jadi minion lah. Jadi tolong jadi nurse lah, right?
Assistant.
So there was another incident. The third incident that I remember clearly was my senior year. There was a junior that just joined, and dia pun budak silat juga. Something about these Silat boys, I mean, I don't know what they teach, but I know that it does not stop at physical martial arts. That one is for sure.
It's more to it, kan?
Yeah, so they told me some of them ada cerita lah, macam part of their ilmu ni, they have like a specific time frame. They have to berendam dalam air sungai like once every 3 months or so. They can't miss it because apparently what they amalkan, the ilmu tu dia berdamping dengan something else. So that's how they assure victory in the event that they have to do hand-to-hand combat lah. So dia ada benda like, it's not just you, there's another thing that is helping you by granting physical strength or things like that lah. So
your spirit animal.
Yeah. So but everything has a price. So adalah amalan that you have to do to maintain that relationship, right? So bakal kemenyan ke, ada kena benda baca ke, or you can't wear specific items of clothing during certain parts of the year. Or the one that I recall the most was dia kena berendam dalam air sungai once every few months because the thing is hot. So dia kena natural spring water lalu kat badan tu, baru benda tu macam you can calm it down until the next cycle.
That's interesting. I mean, the same can apply for humans. We need to cool down.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's not like illogical if you think about it.
It's not. It's true. You're right.
I remember one incident malam tu I masuk dalam bilik tu. He was in my room because he was hanging out in my room for tak tahu lah dia suka lepak situ ke apa, so tak apalah. And then he was looking at me like really funny though, like really macam not the way a junior would look at a senior.
Right. It's like he's sussing you.
Memang side eye. So I asked him lah, kenapa tu? Kan? Apa? He didn't answer me. And I asked him again, kenapa ni? Ada benda tak puas hati ke? I mean like, I thought that was the vibe lah. He didn't say anything though. But from out of nowhere dia buka bunga. And it's just me and him dalam bilik ni. And I remember thinking, I've seen this movie before. Right? I've seen this move. Like I know a kick is gonna come. So then he approached me, and at this point I dah start macam baca what I recall lah, whatever I recall lah, macam ayat kursi ke apa, tak ingat time tu lah. Because I was thinking, okay, I think something's gonna go down here. But before anything happened, couple of my roommates balik lah from makan dekat cafeteria or whatever, and then they saw what was happening. And then as he lunged towards us, we kind of all knew the drill already at that point. So we all kind of like pegang dia apa semua, bear hug, baca. Tak jalan juga. He was very violent lah, meaning like he was writhing and wanting to escape. And when you see like a wounded animal or macam a cat is cornered, kan, they're the way they move it's fight or flight on. There's no in between. Dia memang desperate. So it felt like that. It felt like he was desperate to break out of the grip. But after that kita orang ada macam masa tu we drag him masuk luar bilik, simbah dengan air yasin. Someone had some stock before that, baca time tu tak ada ustaz lah, we just relied on the seniors yang lebih beragama lah, right? So finally he calmed down. And then we asked him to pray, right? I mean, not me lah. Some the more religious guys advised him, okay, you should do this, semayang dulu. And then so sambil dia semayang tu, we sat nearby just in case, benda tu tak ni. So then I remember, this is the part that stuck out to me lah. Lepas dia semayang tu, I was sitting next to him lah, just to make sure everything's okay. After this semayang tu, he looked at me, and then he extended his hand, and then I salam lah. But whilst he was shaking my hand, dia cakap, terima kasih jaga cucu saya.
Wow.
So I was like, what? Alright. And then dia salam orang sebelah dia pula, terima kasih jaga cucu saya, kamu semua ni baik-baik orangnya, along those lines lah. Dia cakap macam tu lah. And then dia baca doa, And then dia tu sapu muka dia. And then he looked at me. Dah sepong duduk sebelah aku. So it's like that thing was in there kejap. And then okay, dah settle everything. Okay, and then dia cakap terima kasih. And then dia whoosh, away. So that kind of like really stuck with me lah, that feeling like macam. So of course I know there's going to be skeptics that will say, yeah, anyone can say that or buat macam ni. So I get it, and I get it, right? I've been a skeptic for a long time of my life juga. Tapi when you are in these situations, you faham it's different. It's not something that you feel benda tu macam buat-buat lah. That's not what I and this is a cynic saying this, right? I'm a skeptic that I'm saying this. So
this thing was inside this is your friend. It's his keturunan lah.
Yeah, so dia punya saka lah. So he told us that after some of the earlier incidents, he called his father. His father called some of the family members. Diorang cakap memang diorang ada hantar ikut dia. Nak tolong, yelah pergi belajar jauh, first time tinggalkan the north kan. Jauh pula tu kan, daripada Kedah pergi Kuantan. So diorang nak dia ada a little something lah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's next level.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that actually have these things.
Yeah. No,
right?
apparently we had one guest that said that he feels that everybody has one. It's up to our energy how we use our energy when it comes out or not. Something like that.
I see.
That's his interpretation, which we found quite interesting as well.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, they some of the seers, right, told me before, but I don't know if they were fucking with me, but they did tell me that they saw a few of them dangling on me, and then proceeded to ask me, "Kau sih bukan jenis yang tak semayang kan?"
Damn.
Yeah, so I mean, again, could have been fucking with me, but that's what they would say. They say lah, memang diorang berpaut dekat kau kan. Memang they are dangling on you. So I don't know lah. Personally in my family, I've only ever heard of one uncle that had it. I didn't hear like the proper full story. Makcik tak nak cerita full lah. Tapi what I gathered was, because he was the oldest uncle that my aunt married, so he married into the family. Not related lah, not blood related. Apparently back then, in the 60s, he was like a fisherman, nelayan. So he would go away for weeks and months. So apparently dia dah ambil satu to protect him at sea. And the only reason why it's relevant, or why I heard about it later on, was because when he died, apparently there were a lot of complications before he could die. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard, like there is a way nak buang saka tu. This is what I've heard lah, considering my city boy limited knowledge. Right? I'm sure other people know a lot more, but what I've heard from people who are more well versed in this subject than me is that you normally have a choice before you die, whether you can find a way to get rid of it, or you need to appoint a willing successor. You kena pergi kat dia pula. Then only you will let me leave.
Right.
So there is a whole ritual, I think it's called buka atap or something like that, where you have to literally remove the roof of your house, because it's part of the agreement when dia nak leave you in peace lah, so that you can die. Because as long as dia mendamping you, technically you can't die. Yeah. So it has to leave you first, right?
Sorry, I'm just thinking of like film, thinking of a movie. It's like, oh, this is how it.
One of the seers back then, they told me about this very apparently it's a popular case. I think it was Harundin. All right, if I recall, I could be wrong. It could be another ulama lah, but apparently someone came to him with their father or something like that, yang dah 3 months plus macam tak ada will to live, tak nak makan, tak nak apa, so dia ingat dia kena santau or something like that. So apparently they met with him, with the ulama tu, Lama tu macam tengok je muka dia, tengok. Ada baca-baca sikit, ada tanya-tanya sikit, and then he read something and he touched the head, like slapped the head, and the guy died on the spot. Mati terus. Yeah. So apparently dia dah mati lama dah.
Right.
But that thing is keeping him alive, right? Yeah. Sustaining him, which explains why dia tak nak makan, dia tak nak bercakap, because it's not him. Yeah. So I mean, this is the thing with mendampingi lah benda ni, right? Yeah. So other things have happened in my life that made me contemplate the fact that, is it arrogant of us to say that only what we see is real?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I feel that way lah. Macam it's a question that I've been thinking about a lot lah. Right? Is it arrogant to say, kalau aku tak nampak, benda tu tak wujud lah? Or is there something more that maybe we can't see? Maybe.
Well, like you said, it's a blessing that we can't see.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You know.
Could be more like ignorance than arrogance.
It could be. Right.
Because I mean, there's so many things in this world where
we don't understand.
Yeah,
man.
A lot of things we don't understand.
And who's to tell us that there are things on this other side of our plane that don't exist? Right?
Actually, all these things have been around before we were even created.
For sure.
Maybe. You see, so it's right. We shouldn't be arrogant, thinking that we can be okay. You want to be like skeptic? Okay, no problem. But at least acknowledge. Like this is the entity. This happens.
I mean, if you're a very westernized Malay, right? Maybe you've stayed abroad for 10 years or so, right? Sometimes you may lose touch with this kind of thing, because I feel that in order to be in touch with things like spirituality, there is a component that you lose the more you prioritize worldly things, which is why the West, you know, if all you're thinking about is, you know, consumerism, capitalism, how to get more, then you lose touch with your spiritual side, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is money, right? That's a capitalist society lah. I'm not knocking anyone that wants to make money lah. I think it's absolutely fine, but you gotta acknowledge that you lose a little something in the process.
And it's just not, and it's also losing something of yourself, right?
Yeah.
More so that you just,
Totally, man.
It's, that's really, I mean, do you think you know, because we lived abroad for so long as well, you know, I mean, I was away for 20.
There you go.
You know,
I can tell by the accent.
You know, and Moe, you were away for quite a while, but you were in ISKL for like 4 years, right? I mean, you were here.
And ISKL is not even a local school.
Yeah, I know.
It's an international school anyway. So,
but I mean, at least you were around more locals where you were here, right? So,
yes and no. I mean,
what do you think?
all our friends were us, you know.
But then, at the same time, even though when I came back here, first thing I wanted to do was ghost hunting. So I might have not lost it too much.
Because balik kampung, you know, we all tell Chidan. That's the best part. That was part of our culture.
It was cool because, like, even though I lived overseas for 20 years, when I do come back every few years, and my parents will always take us to our kampung, right? And it's, even though I would be there for maybe maximum 1 week, the kampung, how do you say, influence has never degraded from my I guess myself, right? And so even though you're away for so long, if you open up to it, then it'll still be a part of you.
Even if you have friends that are from larger, longer term dynasties, right? Normally they might be royalty, where essentially the family history is tracked, or they may be from bangsawan families, or the older families that reside in the older states, right? I think Kelantan has a few. You have your Nicks, you have your right. So the family yang lama lah, as in, like, you have a lot of history. So if you talk to them, right, maybe they have some links to royal family, because they're all connected lah, right? So I've had the privilege to speak with some of them, and they have told me that there are rituals that are performed. You don't remain a powerful family long term by just sheer determination, right? There is rituals and, dare I say, sacrifices that need to be made to appease the helpers, if you will, right?
And so, going back to your Silat thing about, you're talking about there's a lot of levels in Silat, right? I mean, a lot of tiers where you go to these different stages where to get to the biggest ilmu, right? Where Silat fighters do this bunga thing where they literally become immortal. You know how when people like punch, it's like you're punching a rock, right?
Yeah.
So I remember one of the Silat teachers I had back then when I was doing Silat for a month, he actually said that you can only get to that level of ilmu if you're willing to sacrifice a little more of this world.
Yeah. I imagine so.
What does that entail?
Kind of like, because it's crossing into that other realm, and you lose a little bit of this realm, but you have to be able to be strong enough to be in that other realm.
Yeah.
And these Silat gurus or whatever, they actually can tell whether you are good enough to be in that realm.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's energy,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
aura, it's energy. They can read that shit, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they've been doing it for a while. And I imagine a lot of it, from what I picked up from some of my friends, without going into too much detail, there's sacrifices made in the sense that, say, you may not be able to eat certain things that you need to give up. Maybe some of it goes so far as you need to run your household as such, can marry this kind of so and so, right? So the various things you have to give up.
Yeah.
And this is not new, right? So for example, years ago, kalau you pergi tengok orang buat, it's not so common now, but last time bila ada macam persembahan silat ke apa, they would bring out fucking parangs and shit, bro.
Yeah.
And take off their shirts and tetak apa semua, and you'd see like macam tak ada darah apa semua. So they're on something, man. Right? I mean, it's
not something, or something's in them.
And it's not limited to us.
Yeah.
Right. So I know for a fact from some of my Chinese friends that there's actually a big scene in Malaysian Chinese where they go to Thailand or other Southeast countries that are known for this kind of thing, and then dia akan beli tangkal ke, or dia nak sumpah seranah someone or santau ke, or dia nak protect diri dia from someone that's like
something.
So it's not a Malay thing, but people think it's just Melayu ni je yang superstition. No,
that's not.
Nah, man, across the board, bro. Malay, Chinese, Indians, and if you go to Indonesia, lagi lah.
There's such thing as Chinese and Indian black magic, which is also as strong.
So what does that tell us? What does that tell us? The fact that Malays, we call it tenaga batin, as in like with this energy, right? And then the Chinese, they have chi, right? And then the Indians, they have chakras. So how can all these different races that originated from different parts of the world have such similar understanding about supernatural powers? It might not be exactly the same, but they all acknowledge, despite not having the cultures mixed together. I mean, now they are mixed up, but once upon a time, how come we acknowledge that ada tenaga batin yang kita kena jaga, and and the Chinese have tapped into that as well. Oh, it's your chi, right? It's your energy. And the Indians tapped into it. Oh, your chakras are not aligned. But we all have that. There's something more than the physical world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's like basically magic is just science that we don't understand.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Right? It's just that we can't write it down on a piece of paper. It's not quantifiable.
How do you quantify that? Yeah,
but it's there lah, from what I can see. Right. So shall we do the last story?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
let's go ahead.
Okay, wait, this is it.
All right.
Building up to this.
This is to me this is a more memorable story lah. So fast forward a couple of years after my college years, I was back on summer break. I was studying in Cardiff at the time, in UK. Then I came back for summer break. And then some of my friends had the very bright idea of ajak pergi ghost hunting lah.
Of course.
As usual.
We all have those friends.
We are those friends.
So me thinking, okay, I've never actually felt anything, so I'm not really that scared, so there's nothing to do, okay lah, why not? So a couple of my friends who were studying in UM at the time, diorang ajak lah, so okay lah, kita pergilah one night, right? So we reached this one old abandoned bungalow, macam Mat Saleh punya style punya old bungalow lah. It was abandoned. Then we went in. I mean, I can't be prosecuted for this like 10 years later.
No,
right?
no. So just don't say where it was.
yeah. So we went in. It was pretty huge place. So I think there was about 6 of us lah, 5 or 6 of us. No, it was about 7 of us, 2 cars. Yeah. So when we went in, we wanted to explore the place lah, nak tengok dekat bilik bawah, dekat bilik atas. So we said to each other, let's stick together lah. I mean, I know that we are not scared, but let's not tempt fate lah. Okay, kita sama-sama lah, right? So we moved around. By about 15 or 20 minutes in, we realized that one of our buddies, let's call him Pei lah, right? Yeah, so Pei was missing, right? Because we weren't talkative dalam rumah tu. Ghost hunting kan,
of course,
quiet. So it's not like kita tengah bersembang-sembang and you realise someone's missing. Macam semua senyap je. As we were exploring the house, we realised Pei was missing. So Pei mana bro? Tak tahu, bukan dia sebelah kau ke tadi. So okay, fine. A little creepy, but okay, tak apalah.
Just four of you, yeah?
5 to 6.
Yeah, about 6 or 7 of us.
That's a big group.
So senang nak hilang lah sikit. I remember 2 cars lah. That's what I remember.
Okay.
So we started looking for him, tapi tak jumpa. So time ni dah start rasa macam, okay, what the fuck doh, jangan nak buat hal kan. Adalah macam tertimbul perasaan macam Mamat ni nak takutkan kita, nak game kita. Don't fuck around lah bro, this is not the place lah kan. Tapi we couldn't find him. So after we looked all over the house, dah pusing semua bilik apa semua, and everything was very run down lah. So the vibe was memang Silent Hill punya vibes lah. Memang dah, it's very apparent nobody's lived there for decades and things are rotting. And in fact, it might have been a safety hazard just to be there. The roof might have caved in. So there wasn't really any artifacts that were macam, you know, you were hoping macam jumpa gambar family dia 30 years ago ke apa kan. So tapi tak ada apa sangat. It was all cleaned out, but just the vibe was very eerie lah. So as we were going down, so rumah tu dekat lepas entrance dia, there was a big landing, macam nak to greet the guests lah. You masuk-masuk besar, and then ada tangga naik atas, the main staircase lah, kind of a grand staircase. So as we were going down the grand staircase tu, nampak ada seorang tengah berdiri kat tengah-tengah landing tu. It's my friend lah.
Oh, okay.
Right? My friend. So kita orang pun macam, kau hilang mana tu daripada tadi, tak nak jumpa apa semua.
This is the pay guy.
Kau hilang mana tu tadi? But he didn't say anything. Dia tak cakap apa-apa pun. Macam dia tak ada cakap macam saja je kacau kau. Dia just macam dia senyap je. So kita orang macam, kau okey tak? Dia senyap, and then dia angguk macam, okay lah, maybe he saw something lah. Dah rasa tak sedap lah. Maybe dia ada nampak something ke apa. Okay lah, alright. Let's chow lah. So we got into our cars, drive balik Shah Alam. And then okay lah, sebelum balik tidur apa semua, yamcha dulu lah kan. Malam masih muda, minum dulu lah. This was around like 1 AM lah, macam tu. Dah malam lah. Whilst we were at the mama, semua dah order makan. Semua tengah makan, semua tengah minum. Tapi Pei ni senyap lah. And dia tak order makan, dia tak order minum. Dia tak order apa-apa. So time ni dah ada hush discussions and whispers on the side macam, oi, so nak bawa dia pergi, kita kena pergi Darul Shifa ke apa ni, kena bawa dia pergi jumpa someone yang ni lah. Dah ada some of those whispers lah, because I also have had some experience. So macam maybe we need to go to the experts lah. If this doesn't improve by tomorrow, if he's still not saying anything, and if he still looks like, because he looked like he was macam
just zoned out,
kind of like just zoned out a little bit, like baru macam go through something traumatic, like a car accident. You know that shock that you feel, macam you tak boleh borak, you tak boleh apa, you macam what? Dia macam tu tau. So okay lah, tak apalah, bagilah dia. We were a little nervous, tapi tak apalah, we were thinking okay esok kita settle lah kan, malam ni bawa dia balik dorm, college tu tidur. So as we were eating, tiba-tiba ada this you all tahu tak yang macam normally ada pakcik buta datang jual tisu. Okay, so same scenario. I think it was his wife macam pegang tangan dia, bawa dia pergi meja kita, and then tanya, Assalamualaikum, nak beli tisu, and of course kita belilah satu kan, tolong. So as we were giving him the cash and everything, dia cakap lah, kalau pakcik nak tolong doakan sikit untuk korang, boleh tak? Kira just to say thank you lah. Boleh? Of course boleh pakcik. So dia doa. Amin. Okay, amin. And then he turned to leave. But before he turned to ciao, dia pusing balik. Lepas tu dia cakap dekat kita orang, pakcik bukan nak cakap apalah, cuma kamu jangan salah faham lah. Dia cakap, pakcik nak tegur, salah satu daripada kawan kamu dekat meja ni bukan kawan kamu. We were like, yo, what the fuck, uncle, you can't just drop that shit on us after what we just been through and bounce, right? So dia cakap macam tu je. Okay, pakcik doakan yang terbaik lah untuk kamu semua. Okay, and then dia ciao. Macam no, sorry, before dia ciao tu, we tried to ask kan,
yang mana satu,
we tried to apa, we didn't go straight to the mana satu, we went to pakcik tengah cakap pasal apa ni, what are you talking about, old man, right? I mean, just let's align first. Right?
You guys had a feeling it was pay already.
Memang because we just brought him back, dia pula tengah tak betul. So macam
who else kan?
Tapi pakcik tu ada cakap, sorry, we had a very short conversation with him on it. He didn't reveal like macam siapa apa, tapi dia tanya kita orang, korang baru balik dari mana? So we told him we went to that area lah, that place kan.
He's blind.
He's blind bro.
Yeah.
He's blind. Yeah. So to me this is what yang sebab tu I ingat tau benda ni sebab macam so he's blind. Wife dia pun senyah je lah, let him do his thing. And then dia tanya kita orang pergi mana, and then we told him lah. And then he was like, mungkin pakcik cadangan bawa dia balik sana. Go and pay, you know, like whatever you guys have started, dia tak tutup lagi malam ni. Means you gotta go and close it. And then he disappeared into the night.
I guess the pakcik can see when it suits him.
We finished our food, we had a discussion, sokok je macam, okay, macam mana ni guys? Aku cuak ke nak balik sana? I mean the various voices around the table lah. Aku cuak ke nak balik ni, dah pukul 2 pagi, ada benda tak betul. Tapi tu kawan kita bro. So ultimately we decided, okay, one car will bring him back. Yang mana yang tak nak ikut, tak apa. So it was 3 of us plus pay, or whatever was looking like pay. That was that
man.
So we drove back. Time ni dah pukul 2 lebih lah. So this is to me, this is the part yang macam, okay, what the fuck is going on? So remember how I said earlier, I started this whole thing by saying I've never actually seen like macam a pocong or a pontianak. However, this is what I did see. So when we reached the house, we brought everyone out. Okay, ikut. And throughout this whole time, dia tak ada bagi any, jangan kata bercakap, dia macam nod or giling pun tak nak. Dia macam just zone out je. So we brought him in, and then before we stepped into the house, and we all whipped out a little Al-Fatihah and a little, okay, whatever you know. Kalau baca doa makan pun, kalau kau tak tahu lain, okay lah, alright, whatever it is lah, whatever thin veil of protection that we can get, let's do it lah. Okay, baca. Then we went into the house, and as we walked into the house, Pei was standing in the middle of the fucking landing but he's next to me. So who the fuck is standing?
You see both of them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So dia bukan Pontianak putih lah.
You see your
it's
friend.
my friend.
It's pale.
Yeah. But very dark lah. Very dark. But baju sama. I can see sama. Also, what the fuck? Whoever was beside me, who I thought was Pei, walked towards Pei 2, I guess. I don't know how to. And he walked towards us. And diorang selisih. Meaning we saw these two
Exact
bodies walk across each other. And Pei 1 went up the stairs. Masuk tak tahu, because we were focused on the friend that was walking up. And then Pei 2 walked towards us. Dia tak cakap apa-apa, tapi muka dia memang barai gila. Like he just saw a fucking ghost now or something. Muka dia memang macam, what the fuck? He was in shock lah. So we all took him, Pei, kau okay? Now this Pei could answer. He was like, aku tak tahu doh, aku tak tahu. Korang pergi mana doh tadi? Aku tunggu korang lama gila doh. Korang tinggal kat aku apa semua. And he was shaking and shivering and I was like, yo, what the fuck? So I ain't seen no ghosts before, right? I've never seen a lembaga or a flying.
But you were next to a ghost.
But that particular incident, I mean, it was human form lah. Nampak macam human. Cukup 2 tangan 2 kaki, ada kepala, baju semua sama. But I don't know what that was. So
it's a doppelganger.
So the skeptic in me that day was seriously challenged. Like macam, okay, so fine, you didn't see an ogre or an elf, but what the hell just happened? How can there be 2 Peis in the same fucking identical? Right? Wow. And what would have happened if we never met that blind uncle?
That's true.
Kan?
That's true. Kesian Pei.
Wow. So we went home, macam biasalah, dia suruh dia basuh kaki, angkat wuduk, apa semua, the usual hygiene stuff, and that was that. But that story has stuck with me for a long time.
But it's funny, it's not the first story we heard about this.
Similar.
Switching. We had another friend talk about the same
something similar.
They went to it wasn't even a house, it was just somewhere near the river or something. It's like then they all came in the car and then they all went somewhere. Then someone was like, that's not your friend. And then they came back and their friend, he was crying like, where the hell were you guys?
But it was at the river lah.
But the thing is, there was no switch. The person he thought was in the car was gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then that person.
But I'm happy to not happy lah, but okay, I feel vindicated that okay, benda ni ada jadi lah. It's not just
this happens a lot. I'm gonna try to find what kind of ghost it is though. It does this, like switch places.
Have you guys heard any stories like this? I mean,
but that's funny. What I find funny is that for that thing to work, a group of people need to go ghost hunting. Technically,
I mean, you get what you sangat kan.
What's the moral of the story?
Moral of the story?
Don't go to these bungalows.
Bro, just stay at home, man. Have some drinks.
Just believe that this is real and don't go out there.
Oh man,
thanks. Awesome, dude.
Thanks for telling your stories, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We were glued.
Yeah, we're like, what's gonna happen next?
What else happened?
It's awesome stuff, man. If you guys enjoyed Fad's story, please comment. Let us know anything, your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and like.
And follow Fad on his socials. Any questions?
It'll be right up
please.
He went from skepticism to
full blown.
Sort of, I believe it.
He went through the different phases.
But what I find funny was like when they asked you to go something, and you were like, okay. And I'm thinking, after what you've been through, holding people down, you want to go something?
He's like trying to find foolproof.
Just nak tahu. I mean, life has a way of humbling you. I guess. You rasa macam you tahu, and then okay. I don't know everything. So,
alright, guys. Once again, if you guys enjoyed our stories, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like.
And watch out for our next episode. I'm Moe.
I'm Fairil. Thanks again. And this is
Fad.
And tune in again to the next episode of
Naik Bulu Tales.